seen things people wouldn't believe.
Baby, I don't care.
Good, I'll have a drink. All the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
Didn't do it.
Why not?
The whole thing's been wrong from the beginning. I feel dirty.
Is there anything I can do? Please, Dix, can't you relax for a second?
My name is Neff, Walter Neff. I was thinking about that dame upstairs and the way she had looked at me.
He's looking at you, kid.
Yesterday, this would have meant so much to us. Now it doesn't matter.
What can I tell you, kid? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Welcome to the Speakeasy Noircast, a podcast discussing film noirs of yesterday and neo-noirs of today. Each week, we're going to deliver a discussion of our analysis of classic noir films, and occasionally we'll interview up-and-coming directors and writers of new neo-noir films, all mixed in with our unintelligible banter. Your hosts for the show, Jason D. Morris and Carly Street. Oh, that intro makes me want to learn how to play the blues piano. Is there a blues piano? I think there's such a thing, isn't there? Maybe the blues piano just means like playing blues music on a piano. Maybe there's, or maybe there's like could be like an infamous blue piano somewhere hidden it away in like New Orleans or something.
Be yours. I think that should be yours, and you should have a blue suit and a blue piano and a blue feather like Elton John. Blues.
What are you trying to say?
That you should have a blue world and play the blues.
I can't play piano.
Oh, for fuck's sake, then why are you even bothering?
I don't know, because I want to.
Oh, well, why don't you just get like a backing track and then just move your hands at the right time, like
What?
Just don't fall off.
Trap? What is a backing trap?
No, a backing track.
Oh, a backing track.
Yeah, or a CD player, whatever.
Got
just
you.
hide
Okay, all right, yeah. I'm gonna pull up iTunes.
Yeah, but don't fall off, because if you fall off and then the piano's still playing, you're going to have to convince people it's haunted or something.
Oh, hey, 90% of acting is reacting, right? I can react to that.
That's very true. Haunted Object, Series 27, Episode 9, The Blue Piano.
Well, how you been, Carly?
Okay.
Yeah, doing good? How's the weather out there? Oh, the zoo, yeah. I didn't think you guys had animals over there in the UK.
It's the population.
I was pretty certain all you have are cottages.
Sheep outside. It's mine.
You've got London and you've got cottages.
Yeah.
and Downton Abbey and Buckingham.
Shut up.
That's it.
No.
No animals.
Everything else is just squalor.
Except for maybe sheep. You got sheep, right? I think that's where they came from.
Yes, sheep. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a terrible American.
I know.
So how was the zoo? What is your zoo called?
Chester Zoo.
Fester Zoo? Like Uncle Fester?
No, Chester.
Oh, Chester.
Cheese.
Got it. I was picturing everybody walking around with light bulbs in their mouth. I don't know.
It was quite funny because we thought that we were trying to find something that this woman told us about randomly. So we were like pushing every single door, even if it said "do not go in." We were just pushing it, and we pushed one, and it let us in. And we thought, "Oh my god, we're in a secret little bit of the zoo."
Turns out it's a bathroom.
No, so we went through, and all the lemurs were there, and we went to the other side, and we started going, "King Julian!" And
You're not going to tell me you got eaten by a lemur, are you?
No. And then we started yelling King Julian at them from Madagascar, and then we walked around the corner and came face to face with like 30 people, and it wasn't actually a secret part of the zoo. It was just a part of the zoo. And they were all recording on their phones, and probably for 10 minutes, all they could hear was two disembodied voices going, "King Julian! King Forest!" and then singing Madagascar songs. I even pretended I was Alex the Lion at one point and roared.
That's funny.
So that was weird. And then when we went in the gift shop, it was like fucking carnage. It was like game on. We were buying for, not just for us, for like 4 people. So we were literally bursting kids out of the way to get move. That panda is mine. And then we had like armfuls of cuddly toys. The kids had nothing. Like there's kids walking around with a key ring. Me and my mate are there, just can't carry the fucking stuffed toys. And then we stood there rating the cuddly toys because we couldn't decide which elephant out of all of the elephants to get. So then we were kind of like making them talk and see what their face represented before we made a purchase.
Nice. That's the only way to do it. If you're gonna have that elephant for the rest of your life, you know, you got to make sure what kind of face it makes when you give it a voice.
Yeah. We were giving them names and everything, and it was just people were walking past us like, what? They were moving the kids out of the way, like, just keep walking, just fucking keep walking. I went through the bat cave with my eyes shut as well.
Really? Were you scared?
It was, oh my God, it was like Morbius in there.
Awful?
Went through this little, scary. My friend really wanted to go in, and she loved it. So she went, oh, it's fine, you won't, like, they'll all be sleeping or whatever. Went through the door, fucking hellfire, this bloody shadow lunged at me, and she went, oh, it's tickled my head. That was it. I literally grabbed her arm with my eyes shut, I squealing all the way through.
Oh, man. That's what we got to name this episode. It's Tickled My Head.
It's tickled my head. I thought, why are you not having some sort of fit right now? And she's going, Carly, look at the shadow. It looks like Batman. I don't want to. I just want to leave. It was scary.
Sounds
there was
amazing.
a sign that said, don't leave with any bats. Like, what? Are they going to like attach themselves to me? I don't want a bat. I don't want it on me.
Wow, that's
I thought there'd be glass or something. Like, no.
Ours out here, they're behind like a fence kind of thing, like an enclosed fence. Yeah. And like, no, that you can't commingle with the bats.
No. Honestly, it was like Morbius. They were just like swirling around everywhere. It was bloody terrifying.
So
and
we
then
know
I spent
where the
10
next
minutes like checking my clothes in case a bat had crawled in.
Stow away. Well, we know where the next virus is going to come from. It's going to come from your guys' zoo.
Yep. A bat like bit someone and that's it.
Carly biting the heads off of bats. Get away.
Oh my God. And then it's like we went down this other bit where all the butterflies are. And we were like looking at these butterflies thinking they should not be out here. They are clearly meant to be in the butterfly thing.
So the butterflies are in an enclosure and the bats are just free to attack.
No, the butterfly one's the same. So you walk through this tunnel, there's fucking butterflies everywhere flying at you. Gigantic, great big things. They've got like tattoos and everything.
Was there a sign that says don't take home the butterflies?
Yeah, check your clothing for butterflies. And I was thinking, what if we accidentally stood on one and it was like the last that particular type of butterfly in existence? And it's like, oops. Do you have
I would be a little. Maybe I would be pretty upset if like I was the last human and something stepped on me and the last thing they were worried about is, oh, we killed a species. Like, yeah, but you killed me. So that poor butterfly is like, who gives a shit about my species? You killed me.
Maybe that's why they swarm at you, because they are pretty like, they dive bomb. They are like swooping. So they're either mocking or they're trying to get outside.
Right.
Via my
get outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a good time.
It was so fun.
Yeah. Was that your guys' first time to the zoo, or you go?
Yeah, I took Lily like years and years ago, but she was like a toddler and she didn't care. She was just playing with grass. So, and because it's quite expensive, we haven't been back. And it was my friend's birthday, and she's like, I just want to go to the zoo.
Well, very cool.
So we just went and then behaved like 10-year-olds.
I would expect nothing less. Santa Claus. Yeah. We went to a thing called the Renaissance Fair. Is that something you're familiar with?
I know posh people over here go to stuff like that.
Well, I mean, nobody posh goes to this.
Oh, okay.
These are people that like to live dirty.
Oh, I like.
you dress up as, as like in the Renaissance, like time period, it crosses boundaries greatly when you go to these things. There's some people dressed up like anime characters or furries or all kinds of crazy stuff. Knights.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of liberties taken, but it's pretty fun. It's all decked out in like sort of medieval-ish, kind of array of things. And it's just a big dirt kind of loop, that's secluded back in the trees. And you shop and, they have like these shows like jousting and fencing, and you can try to do like axe throwing and things like that. Shoot a bow. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Nothing.
Did you dress up as?
I didn't dress. I don't dress up. Yeah. I know. I'm like,
why didn't you be a knight? That would have been dead funny watching you like squeak round. Trying to like lift your armor and throw an axe.
I'm not fond of the sunlight, and so those kinds of things get a little hot. So
I hate human beings and eyeballs and sunlight.
Exactly. So I try to blend into the non cosplay crowd, I guess. I like looking at them. They're very cool. Some people are extremely creative, and other people were like, I don't know, decorating themselves in paper bags, which is also creative, but looks like paper bags. So it's there's a wide array of interesting people there. It's fun. Lots of cool things you can't buy other places, but cost you an arm and a leg.
I like quirky little shopping like that. I would have been one of the people dressed in like bags. I would have been like thinking that I looked like King Arthur or something, or Maid Marian. And
they did.
Some sort of carrier bag, like with a curtain as a veil or something. Who are you? Oh, Maid Marian.
Right, Street's just going to show up as Spider-Man.
My carrier bag.
That's right. All right, so let's jump into the drink for tonight. Now, I think in this movie they reference Scotch a few times, but it's not like for a main character or anything. So I put that to kind of to the side, and then kind of tapped into what this movie's. I don't want to say like famous for, or like be kind of schlocky about it, because it's very much a respected film in the LGBTQ plus. I'm just going to go with that because I don't know the rest of the letters. My apologies. Lifestyle. So we're going to go with a fairly, well, from what I've been told, a fairly popular LGBTQ plus drink called the Taste the Rainbow. All right. And actually, this one looks pretty cool. I can't wait to try this one. It's got some stuff in it I like, and then one thing I don't. This drink has 1 ounce of grenadine. That's our smash bugs, right, Kelly? Half ounce of peach schnapps, which anything schnapps. You like
peach.
that? Well, I mean, I can deal with peach, but not schnapps. I just don't like schnapps. I don't know what it is about it.
I don't like you saying that word.
Schnapps.
Schnapps.
I don't like saying it either, or drinking it. 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. I love pineapple juice. I think, Carly, you hate pineapples, right?
I like to eat pineapples on a stick with cheese.
With cheese? That's interesting.
Cheese and pineapple
and
on
weird.
a stick. Oh my
That's
God, no. Another world. Cheese and pineapple on a stick. If you're having a party and there isn't a tray of cheese and pineapple, you can bog off. I'm going home and I'm taking my present with me.
Well, shit, I guess I can't invite you to parties.
No. You need to start all your American friends on this cheese and pineapple stuff. I expect a tray, nothing less.
For me, pineapple and cheese, the only time that's together is on a pizza, and I know that this country's certainly divided on that one, but I like it.
No.
I've never
Put it
heard
on a
of
stick.
Is there like a particular kind of cheese that it goes with?
Not really. We have it
cheese.
with Red Leicester because we have it with Red Leicester because Street will it's like orange cheese. Street will just not have anything else. But I like all types of cheese, so I don't really. I'm not fussy.
All right. I'm picturing you like kicking back in a chair like Wallace and Gromit, like eating your cheeses.
Yeah, got a cheese board, man. Don't try me.
Oh well. All right, so 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. Then there's 1 ounce of vodka, a half ounce of blue curaçao, which I have learned to pronunciate on a previous episode. And you garnish with an orange slice and a cherry. All right. Lots of ingredients, but it's a pretty simple one. So you pour some grenadine into the base of a glass and slowly spoon in some ice cubes. Nobody does that slow, but I guess it's just not get splashed, right? In a shaking glass with ice, combine peach schnapps, pineapple juice, and shake well. Slowly pour your grenadine, filling almost to the top. That's a lot. In a separate shaking glass with ice, combine vodka, a blue curaçao, shake well, and carefully layer on top. Garnish with the orange slice and a cherry. So it's very cool because it's layered and it looks like a rainbow because of the ingredients. Yeah, so it's kind of a cool little drink there. All right. So I'm kind of excited. It sounds really sweet. It sounds like there's a lot of grenadine in it, but even though it says only an ounce. Yeah, it's like only an ounce, but it says slowly pour your grenadine, filling almost to the top. Like, I don't know how you can do that, but okay. But I'm going to give that one a try because this sounds pretty good. And with that said, Carly, let's let the folks at home take a listen to tonight's movie.
For me, stealing's always been a lot like sex. Two people who want the same thing, they get in a room, they start to plan. It's kind of like flirting.
You're having second thoughts.
I'm just making a point. I want to see the money.
It's over $2 million.
Welcome to the family. You're amongst good people here.
I have a tattoo. Would you like to see it?
These people are serious.
Johnny! He's making too much noise. Here. Put it in his mouth.
Caesar's gonna get the money. He's gonna bring it by the apartment. He's gonna count it.
Where's it now?
It's in a case on his desk. It's perfect.
The best things in life are free. Choosing keeping for the birds and bees.
Where's my money?
I want what's mine. I want the money.
Where's my money?
That's what I want.
We'll be rich.
The money!
All night long, I listen to the sound of money.
Jennifer Tilly, Gina Gershon, Joe Pantoliano.
You don't want to shoot me, do you? Do you? I know you don't.
Caesar, you don't know.
Bound.
He was Caesar, all Caesar. He made me help him. You have to help me. Oh, God. Oh, God, he's coming.
All right, guys, we're back and we're going to keep talking about this film. All right, kids. What do they say? Girls and ghouls, because it's the Halloween season here. And we're not doing like a Halloween. Is there a Halloween noir film? We should probably look into that. But
well, we had the Red House, didn't we? Last year.
That's true. Now that's kind of horror-ish, yeah. But I wonder if there's like one that's kind of a Halloween-y theme. That would be I said Halloween-y. Halloween theme.
Halloween.
But a noir film. Maybe we just need to make one, right? We got all kinds of like ideas brewing for doing a noir. But anyway, I digress. That was the trailer for the 1996 film titled Bound. Bound is a American neo-noir crime thriller, and it was written and directed by the Wachowskis, who previously were known as the Wachowski brothers. I honestly don't know how to reference them these days. I think that they're both transgender, or one of them. I can't really remember. I didn't keep up on it. But at the time of this, they were still called the Wachowski brothers, and this was their directorial debut. They had previously worked in the writers, I guess, on the writing team for a film called Assassins, which, if I recall, had Antonio Banderas, and I can't remember who else.
Did that have Bridget Fonda in it?
Bridget Fonda.
I wonder if I'm thinking of something similar.
Yeah, Bridget Fonda was in like a sort of an action film. I can't think of what
like
it
a
was
poster
called,
in my head.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Was she like in that remake?
Oh, she was in The Assassin. Yeah, yeah. It was the US remake. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Okay. And it was financed by Dino De Laurentiis, and it was made on what was considered a small budget of $6 million, which we could probably make like 12 films with that or more.
Yikes.
But there we go. The cinematographer was Bill Pope, who I think did a brilliant job in this film. And there was an interesting crew member on this film by the name of Susie Bright, who made a cameo in the film, but also acted as a choreographer to the sex scenes. And we can get into that a little bit later. Before we get into too much more, though, we do have to do. And now it's time for Carly's super famous in a nutshell synopsis.
Most elegant how-to for aspiring criminals.
Most elegant how-to for aspiring criminals. Yeah, one of them actually is not an aspiring criminal, though. I'm going to call you on this one because your in a nutshell is pretty damn good. This one right here, though, a little shaky. All right.
Well, so I don't think so. Because
one of them just got out of prison.
She got out of prison, but not for stealing shitloads and shitloads and shitloads of money after breaking and entering at least twice and almost like cracking about 15 people in the head to the point of death. So actually, she's up to a game, really. She's gone from the person who robs the radio out the car to the mob meister.
The mob meister.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she did take out the mob, right? Or, well, at least she let Caesar take out the mob.
Plus, I mean, funny, she's probably still got a part-time job bloody fixing sinks. Plumbing, because that's a good racket. That's a good bloody number, that.
That's true, yeah. Man, that first, what was that, a bathtub she was cleaning out at the beginning of the movie? That was some nastiness. What the heck was down in that drain?
Oh, God, it was like a horror film where all the water changes a different colour because there's a dead body underneath the bloody floor. Ooh.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That was nasty. That did look like something out of a horror film. This movie is kind of interesting because I really think it's a very solid film noir, film. But as most neo-noir films just don't do really well these days. And this is, 96, 2016. What is it, 30 years ago? Whatever it is. Jesus, I'm getting old.
Oh my God. Thanks for cheering me up.
I'm like, I saw this in the theater.
Oh, God.
Man, I was like, God, I must have been like 16, 17. No, 16. Yeah, wow. 17. Yeah, 96. Yeah. 17. Wow.
Oh, you naughty person. 17 in an 18-rated film. Shocking.
Yeah. No, nobody cared out here. That was a regular thing. It was pretty easy to get into R-rated films out here. Even nowadays, it's like it's the buying the ticket part. Getting into the actual theater is not a big deal. But You know, if you got a show
What you
idea,
do is you buy a ticket for one thing, and then you just, depending what the cinema's like, they've changed it a bit now because I think generations of people fleeced lots of films. But they used to buy a ticket for one, and then you'd sit in it, and then you'd go to the toilet. But because the screens were all like in a bit of a labyrinth round, you could accidentally find the wrong door and just sit down.
Right. Yeah. And I think that still happens a lot. Absolutely. I probably haven't done that. And I believe I did that with Shawnee probably about 15 years ago was the last time I did that. I don't even know what we saw, but
Did you get bored of one and think, stuff this, let's go see what else is on?
No, we went and saw the movie we were supposed to. And then when it was over, we just hopped into another theater and watched another one. We just looked up on our phone to see what was the next screening, you know?
That's like physical piracy.
Yeah, it is. But it's for our eyeballs only, so we're not trying to sell it. So don't sue us, okay? I don't even remember what the movie was, so it's not going to happen.
I don't even know what cinema it was. I can't remember.
But yeah, I think for 1996, coming off, that's we're halfway through the 90s right now. And in the 80s, anytime you'd get a neo-noir, it was generally like kind of cheesy with crazy colored lighting. I'm looking at you, DOA remake. You know, there's just certain films that just kind of made it come off a little cheesy. And I think that they did right by the noir style with this film. I think it's got just about everything that you could want in a noir, really. Yeah. The lighting, the femme fatales, the crime drama, the less than moral everybody, in the movie. It's just and it takes place in San Francisco, which is awesome. And I'm pretty sure that building that they're in this film, I think maybe Vertigo it's in, but I can't recall what film it is. I mean, that this building is in a classic noir film, but I remember the parking lot, and I don't think that there was a gate around it though at that time, but it's extremely familiar to me, and I don't know why. And maybe it just could be because I live in the area. But I don't know where that building is specifically, but I know the interiors were in a studio, only because I found out this very interesting little tidbit of set design. The floors, which were very cool in this film, all the wallpaper and the flooring and everything looks really cool. But the flooring was actually wallpaper.
Wow.
Yeah, right. It's like, it makes total sense because, I mean, that would be a lot of tile and stuff, but for building a set, and that's just, wow, how brilliant. And I'm sure that's probably common, but I don't know. I don't work with a lot of set designers, so I thought that
the room reminded me very much of, in The Matrix when freaking out. When they go into the Matrix, that room that they're all set up in, with the wallpaper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Green and white wallpaper where they see the deja vu cat and then they all get attacked and they take Morpheus.
Oh, yeah.
That just reminded me, that was like a carbon, not a carbon copy, that's wrong. But it was so similar. It was almost as if they'd walked into that room in Bound, but 30 years later.
Right. Yeah. And they're
in The Matrix.
They're kind of known for, I don't want to say stealing, but they kind of steal. Like they stole a lot from Alex Proyas in Dark City. Like even, The Crow, not Dark City. Wait, I'm confusing this. Wait, no, it was Dark City. They stole all the sets from Dark City, and most of those sets were used in The Matrix. So all the buildings and everything that you see in The Matrix are literally from Dark City, as well as like a lot of. I think most of the crew actually was from Dark City.
You don't think that they styled it a little to sort of reminisce or give a nod to Bound?
I mean,
because I saw so many aspects, so many little, just 1 second little things. I thought, oh my God, that's gorgeous and brilliant. And you can kind of see all the ideas for The Matrix and how they shot it. You can kind of see little bits of it in Bound, of them putting it there.
Yeah, no, I do agree that there are similarities. I'm not 100% sure if they were trying to pay homage to their own film or not. That's very possible. But I did read that they were heavily influenced by Sin City, the comic book, in how they designed Bound specifically, which is very stylistic in and of itself.
Yeah. My favorite shot, I think, is the peephole.
Yeah, I mean, there's
the peephole. Oh,
there's really some great ones,
brilliant.
honestly. Yeah, and I think that they did a really great job with a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of subtleties in this film. Some sexual, some just odd, but they're in there. And I was going to bring this up a little bit later. I swear, I don't know if it's because I seen this movie like several times previously, but that I remember, like, there's this poster hanging in one of the scenes, and I seem to remember that actually being a film, but I tried to look it up and I cannot find it. So I'm not sure if it's like my brain remembering having watched this film or not, but I swear on my life, I remember that being a film. And if anybody out there knows, please let me know. So there is a scene where, I think it's, Corky is, saying something to, Jennifer Tilly about, Caesar being jealous, or no, I can't remember. It's something about Johnny. Johnny is always hitting on her, always hitting on Jennifer Tilly's character, Violet. And she says, well, he always hits on me. Johnny will hit on anything in stilettos. Right. And which is kind of funny. But then later on, when Caesar goes to Johnny's house, there's, it's world building, really. They did a great job with world building on this. You see like various posters in his living room of women in stilettos. And one of them is a poster. It's a white poster with a woman's like legs and wearing stilettos, and the movie title or whatever it is says stilettos and like a red lipstick or something going across it. And I swear on my life that I've seen that poster somewhere. And they probably made it for this movie, but I thought that was a film. And I looked it up and I found a 1969 film called Stiletto, but I don't think it's the same one because I could not find this poster anywhere. And there was very little information on even, anything related to that being in Bound at all. Like I could find nothing about that poster in Bound. But I thought those little like subtleties were really cool for like their world building. And another kind of less a sexual thing that they have is they have like a mannequin's like arm, which is like a necklace jewelry holder, but it kind of looks like a hand, I don't know how to say, doing something for a woman, which I thought was kind of funny in the background. Like, I thought it was kind of funny. Maybe it's just my brain being like kind of high on like the sexual tension of this film or something, but that sort of like stuck out because it's in several like kind of shots. But there's a lot of like little world building kind of things like that in this film, which I thought were really kind of cool. That really felt like exactly. That they really kind of did their homework on building this film. They didn't just make a first like directorial debut kind of thing. They really went in there, and it feels like they mapped this movie out from the cinematography to, everything. It was just, it's so well put together.
I saw on one of the DVD, I know I'm going to say The Matrix again. I don't mean to, but I'm using it as a reference. I had a great big massive like super DVD set of The Matrix, and it had all the behind the scenes stuff, and you're talking like hours of content, and I sat and watched it all. And when you see like every single second of like not only every scene, every single second of every single person that worked on the film's day was like planned out in this like huge, like they didn't have like a production binder. They had like a daily binder for like everybody, every single person. It was so meticulous, and that's why it taken so long. And it was for, if I remember rightly, it was for all of the 3 films. But obviously they only filmed one. But they were supposed to be doing it as a trilogy. And it was the work the preparation that must have gone into that was absolutely insane.
Wait, what were they?
I don't know how it was possible.
What movie?
For the Matrix.
But they did make 3 of them.
No, I know, but they were supposed to film all 3 at once.
Oh, that's why I was confused. Wait, is she talking about Bound? Yeah. Was there supposed to be 3 Bounds? I was so confused right there. Okay, yeah, I got you. All right.
Yeah, so yeah, it was like instead of just like one production binder that's kind of like copied for people, it was like every single department had every single person like had their own, and they had their own. They had like like mood boards. It's something like that, and pictures and drawings and hand drawings, and everybody had like collages that had been made personally for their specific aspects, and everything was so regimented. Yeah, I've never known, and I've never seen anything behind the scenes like since that's gone to that extent of dedication and organisation. But then if they did that similar thing for Bound, then you can see how they've managed to get so many layers.
Right, yeah.
And it works so well.
And being their first film, I imagine that they did, you know, it kind of shines through, because I don't think you can, off the top of your head, come up with a lot of the cinematography choices even, especially on what at the time they're considering a shoestring budget, and for being shot on film and like so highly stylistic. It's one of those things that just like, you can tell a lot of work went in there.
I'd love to see like some behind the scenes archived stuff, you know, even just from the production. I think it'd be fascinating to see. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I know that there's a DVD out there with some commentary and things like that, but there wasn't, since this movie wasn't a huge hit at the theaters, it didn't really, you know, warrant a big, you know, home release, so to speak, although it did become somewhat of a cult classic.
Plus at the time, don't forget, you didn't really have big DVD extra content sort of box sets until what?
Well, no, I mean, this was 96.
Middle 2000s.
Really. I mean, I think
they re-released everything on DVD with all this special content that they'd found that had been locked away for years. So, and that was only for big films.
Right. Yeah. For big. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I remember there's still being some pretty heavy special edition like movies come out, but they wouldn't do it for something that was just sort of like came into the theaters and went, you know, which I think this was only in the theaters for like a couple of weeks. So like it didn't do well. It made half of its budget domestically. So it barely hit $3 million domestically, which is like bad. Right. And then made another.
It's been very hard to market.
Well, I imagine so. I mean, because like in the 90s, I think the LBG, I'm going to fuck up these letters. LBGTQ, did I get that right? Was really sort of like becoming more acceptable, I guess, in the 90s, like at least from what I remember from my perspective. So things like that, I think for a mainstream movie was still taboo, or at least at least for like just a mainstream film, you know? So I imagine that there probably weren't a lot of theaters that were going to want the film, because it opened to a very small number of theaters. I think like less than 300 theaters.
Wow.
Which is extremely small, you know, even for like the 90s.
That's a shame.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that had it been, I don't know, I still don't even think it would do well today. I think today nobody would care. And I think back then nobody wanted to care. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like even today it wouldn't really do well. It would be like
probably not cinema wise. If it was something that was dropped on a streaming service, I think it would be a word of mouth kind of frenzy.
That's kind of what happened, you know, in its initial release. That's really what it was. It didn't do well in the theater, hit home video, and kind of, you know, really caught on with people.
Got a cult following.
Yeah, because I mean,
except there's more accessibility now. So if it did have that same cult following, people could just click on Netflix or whatever, and it's instantly there. Whereas back then, you had to get yourself to Blockbuster, to see if you could get a video.
Right.
Like, it wasn't just easy to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I think that as I was watching this, I like, you were talking about The Matrix and them making 3 movies. I was really like, they should do like a sequel to this, even like this far down the road. Like, the actresses still look great. You know what I mean? Like, they could do a sequel on this easily, in my opinion.
I would have loved like a series, like a 6-part gritty film noir series, where it showed all the people that they then went on to fleece.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. I think that, or like the mob sort of coming back and them outwitting anybody that comes after them, or just something that would be absolutely fantastic to watch.
Well, I think if it was me, I would take a spin on it, because obviously like these 2 people are in love, right? I think that so much time has passed, something got soured. And now you have these 2 extremely strong women, because if you look at their characters, like Jennifer Tilly, like she's not portrayed as like the strong woman in this, right? Corky is. She's sort of like the tough, manly person. And Jennifer Tilly is like more of the sex pot, but she goes through so much in this film and has to hold her shit together.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, she's really the one that's like, she's the real tough one, right? So I could see like these 2 having some kind of conflict 30 years later, whatever it is, or something that's been mounting. And then something happens where these 2 go at each other, and like a whole kind of like Hitchcockian, like murder mystery, backstabby kind of thing where they're, either setting each other up for something. And like, I know this is very vague, but like
each one has like a kind of plan to get rid of the other one. And
exactly. Yeah.
It all hinges on like one doing one thing, which ruins the plan of the other thing. And yeah.
And I'm thinking like Death Becomes Her, kind of like super like just twisty and crazy, noir thing. I really think that they could do something really cool with that. And of course it would break everybody's hearts that these 2 aren't together, that kind of thing. But maybe they end up, maybe it's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. At the end, they die together. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was always meant to be.
Or they both rediscover their love for each other because they realize,
out of evil.
She's a sneaky sod. Yes, back in love. Boom.
That's brilliant. There, yeah, that works. So Wachowskis, if you're out there, make another movie. I think it'd be amazing. So they said that they had a lot of influences in film noir from Billy Wilder, and I believe they even they requested to Joe I'm gonna fuck his name up. Joe Pantoliano. I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Here we go again. Sorry, Joe.
He's an amazing actor too. I love him. He's great in The Matrix, great in this, but my all-time favorite film that he's in is, if you guys have seen it, Midnight Run. He plays a Bell's Bondman, and he's just fantastic. But I love him in everything that he does, and he's just such a great.
Boys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know that's a really stupid suggestion because it's a film noir podcast, and I'm not advocating that Bad Boys is a brilliant film. However, his character, that angry little man playing basketball, yelling at them, fucking brilliant. He's the highlight of the fucking film. He is, when he's ripping a strip off them. Oh, brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, he's fantastic in everything he does. So, and he's that type of person where he could, if with the wrong director, like the wrong script, he could be a total joke. Like if it's not handled right, but he's such a great actor that when he's utilized properly, I mean, he just stands out so well. And like, there's one of my favorite shots in this movie is when he opens the briefcase and realizes there's no money there. And I mean, like, you can just see the dread and the despair and everything on his face. And they use that snorri cam effect where it's like the camera's attached to him and he's like, oh my God, you can just like feel him imploding. And it's just so great, you know?
Yeah.
But
I really liked him in Memento as well. I always thought that
of course.
He was overlooked, though, because even I'm guilty of it. Oh, Guy Pearce, Memento, the story, Christopher Nolan, blah, blah, blah. Actually, he freaking... I wouldn't say he makes the film, but he definitely takes it to that next level. If you didn't have him as John G., it all could have kind of fell a little bit flat.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he makes the film either. I think the plot does, but I think he makes...
I think it hinges a lot.
Yeah, I think he makes the plot work. Like if he was any less believable in what he did, like it'd be one of those movies where like, I've already solved it. You know what I mean? Like he's, you already get it.
Because he's very different. If you look at him and Natalie, to me, even though she's not bad, she's less believable than he is. So sometimes in the scenes with her, you do pick fault with things that don't necessarily make sense. Whereas with his character, you don't at all, because you're just absorbed in him being him. Right. That's the difference. There's probably little bits to pick, but your brain doesn't want to. Right.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that. Yeah. But the Wachowskis asked him to watch John Huston's The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I always leave the out. I don't know why. And focus on Humphrey Bogart's character in order to portray Caesar's paranoia. And I'm sure you've seen Treasure of Sierra Madre, Carly?
Yeah. But a long time ago. It's not one of my favorites, if I'm honest.
Oh, really? Because I really loved Humphrey Bogart in that film. And to ask him to latch onto Bogart's paranoia in that film, I mean, I thought that was a brilliant choice that I would have never even thought of. Because he does play the paranoia piece very well in that film.
He's very much like the despair and the spiral. You kind of like, you naturally go with it and feel like you're in with it. You know, like Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Oh yeah.
Daft idea on paper. Daft idea explaining it, really.
Yep.
But when you watch it, you completely understand.
Yep. When that movie first came out,
this was similar.
Yeah. I remember watching the trailer and I'm like, fuck Michael Douglas. I don't even like this guy. Right. And man, I saw that movie and it was just like, wow. And Shawnee and I just recently watched it because I was talking to her about it and she didn't remember the film at all. And I was like, oh, you have got to see this movie. And man,
it's quite similar in the game as well.
Well, I got deep thoughts about those two. To me, I think his acting really shined in Falling Down. And with the game, I thought that was just such a great directed film that I don't necessarily look at him as being like a shining, like, I don't think that was like his best acting. He wasn't bad by any means. Like I would never look at him and be like, he's bad in that film or anything, but
no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. He didn't really like his brother in that film. Like, even though his brother was barely in it, I thought was pretty good, but I mean, there was lots of pieces in that film that were just like so crazy that to me, that's what really, really shined, the directing of it and making that story, come together. As to where with Falling Down, it's like you have this very simple story, man trying to get home, right? Kind of thing. And his just unhingedness in this film is just like, and how he makes himself so relatable. Like he does this crazy like outburst thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then he's like, whoa, I'm sorry. Like, why are you scared of me kind of thing, And it's like, well, cause you just fucking beat the shit out of him or whatever, And it's like, yeah, but you deserved it. It's like, it's hard to argue. Like, yeah, they did deserve it, but holy fuck, you're psycho.
Yeah. It's a bit like that with Caesar though, isn't it? You're like, oh my God, you forget, like he's a mob. And it's like, aw. Yeah. He's a mob.
Right. And it's like, even like the first scene where, not the first scene we see him, but the first scene where he like kind of speaks and Corky shows up and he's just like walks in the door and like starts flying off the handle because he thinks that his girlfriend or wife or whatever, I don't even think they ever really said, right? Is with another man or something because, Corky's like character is, very manly. He's just like, flies off the handle, and then she turns around and is like, oh, I thought, and it's just like, he is able to like juggle that so well,
Yeah.
and he does that a few times in the film.
Yeah. I loved how, I think one of the best things about it is how his character's biggest downfall is that he always assumes it's another bloke. He always assumes the person that stitched him up is a bloke. He always assumes that the person she's off with is a bloke. He always assumes the only person can kind of bring him down is a bloke. And that's how he gets completely blindsided.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's actually an excellent point. Because you're right. Yeah, it's underestimating, what's right in front of you kind of thing. And it was.
If he'd have been more aware, he wouldn't have been in that situation. But he just, as soon as, like in that scene you were saying, as soon as Corky turned around, defenses dropped. Never mind.
I think you muted yourself. There you go.
I'm back.
As soon as a scene, that was the last thing I heard.
Oh, as soon as that scene, you see him drop like his defense and just go, no problem.
Right. Yeah. Or I think like his realization of it when he picks up the phone and, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but something about like Jennifer Tilly's character Violet was calling Corky, and then she gets caught, and then he redials until he hears the phone in the other room. And when he finally realizes that she's a part of it, he's like, he's just like, yeah, I should have known. And I think that really, what you said really hits the nail on the head there with like completely underestimating, always thinking that it's a man, and just not realizing what's right in front of him. But that's an excellent point. So I know you don't like females in films. And I think you probably like sexual, like erotic films even less. Obviously this film has both of those things. But I did want to talk about a little bit about, I think the film itself is sort of, I wouldn't say famous for it, but it's praised quite a bit for the sex scenes and how they're, I guess portrayed as being more natural than most sex scenes kind of thing. And there was a little bit of information I was able to find where I wouldn't say the big sex scene, but there's one particular sex scene where the camera doesn't cut or anything, which is it's a really great scene, like the way it's filmed, and it's beautifully lit and everything. But the camera just sort of like floats around the bed. And just the lighting, it's one of those shots where you would expect once they get around to the other side that the lighting is going to be fucked up. But for however they did it, it's really well lit in my opinion. And I do agree that like it doesn't feel forced or anything. It's very well choreographed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the issue I have sometimes is that they put them in to tick a box. So you'll have a scene, regardless to the film, the plot, the characters, doesn't matter. But they'll just shove a sex scene in there just to tick a box or to be controversial or for any reason. Whereas it didn't feel unnecessary. It didn't feel exploitative. It actually felt relevant to the actual story of the film as you were going along with it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's like
really surprising.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often.
Right. And I think it even goes further than just the sex scenes themselves, because with the character portrayals, even when Violet is coming on to Corky in the very beginning, like they're really building like a tension. And I tried to, like, when I was watching it this time, to really sort of like, what if Corky was a man, as like studio execs wanted it to be, what if that was, how is this going to play? Would I view this differently? If that was a man. So I kept watching it. Well, yeah. And that's what I came to the conclusion was like, I would view it differently.
I think if it was a man, I would feel like that was completely unnecessary.
Right.
And it would be exploitative. And
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of strange, but then obviously it was relevant to their stories for the situation.
Well, I think it speaks volumes, like sort of how we interpret media and the things that we see. Like if you look at that and you would think, well, if that was a man, that would feel totally exploitive, but having two women, it's not. And it feels more, I don't know if it's interesting or natural or whatever it might be. That really, I think it's like is it a lack of seeing it one way or the other, or is it a judgmental sort of thing? Like, or is it being told that, like, when you see sex scenes between a man and a woman or things like that, that's just exploitive? Because I hear that a lot. Like there's been, horror films have had sex in them for a long time. There's exploitation films, there's grindhouse, all kinds of different things. But you always hear about like it, like you were saying just a minute ago, like just a sex scene being there just to be in there sort of thing. But a lot of times they're not. And just because they show up, people just call it exploitive. You know what I mean? And it's like
that made me think, though, is it the way that it's been shot and choreographed that's made it different?
That's exactly what I was getting to. Yeah. Exactly what I was getting to. That's precisely my point of view, is that I think it's because they had this woman, Susie Bright, come in and choreograph the scenes. And because it's so well lit, I don't think that they lit this in a way that had anything to do with sex or eroticism or any of that kind of stuff. I think they were strictly sticking to the noir, and shooting it was all about the camera and the characters. And I think that that's what they focus on. Is a lot of times when you see in certain shows and movies, they throw in like the gay couple or whatever it might be to sort of, I feels like it's to get a rise out of you or to like shock value kind of thing. Right. And with this, it didn't feel that way. It was like especially that first scene there, where she's having her filler tattoo and stuff. It's like any other way that would have been played would have felt exploitive. Right. But as you're watching it, it's just kind of like, I mean, these are just two people that like each other and they're letting it be known kind of thing. And it like worked really well. And it was that way with every intimate scene between the two, and even scenes that were not about the sex or whatever. Like even like one particular scene was like when she calls her later on, and she puts her hand up to the wall and you see the camera kind of pass over the wall and you see Corky on the other side, that kind of stuff. It's so intimate, in such a natural, like really cool way. Like I know I've seen that kind of stuff in other films and it feels kind of cheesy, but it just doesn't here. And I can't fully put my finger on it, but maybe it's just a full on, compilation of all the things mixed in, from the cinematography to the script to the actors, whatever it was. But it just feels so well done and like natural that I think that a lot of films are really hard pressed to even come close to matching that sort of level of intimacy that this film is able to portray in a non-exploitive way.
Connection.
Although
connection it's like an emotional connection, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, if it was any other movie, I feel like anybody would just consider it exploitive. Just off the top, just whatever. It would just be an erotic thriller. Right. But it doesn't feel that way because like, again, like trying to picture it being Corky being a man and then watching this, I mean, it really would feel like any other film noir film and you wouldn't even think twice about it. Right. And I think that that's kind of the brilliance of the Wachowskis and how they played this out or planned it, and the acting and everything all together. Just really, it felt so cohesive and realistic as far as their relationship goes,
Yeah.
Obviously there's over the top stuff with like the mobsters and the blood and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's like, it's very grounded. And, I don't have any experience with like, lesbian lovers or any of that kind of stuff. I have no idea really, I mean, I've had friends and stuff, but I don't know like how they act like behind closed doors or any of that kind of stuff. So I don't have any of that sort of firsthand knowledge, but just watching the film and taking it for what it is, it feels realistic, I guess, you know? And I think that's where most of the LGBTQ community has kind of praised the film as having that sort of natural, realistic scenes like that, sexual tension scenes or whatever you want to call them in the film. And part of that,
I think it's good that it's not. Sometimes there's always a conversation, and I feel like that's unnecessary because that wouldn't happen in real life, especially, you know, now with how accepting everybody is and how educated everybody, you know, people are and everything like that, and how confident people are in themselves. And I feel like similar films that I may have seen, you have to have that rant from the main. So Caesar would have to at some point have some rant.
Yeah,
and you don't get that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
You do not have that at all. No,
and
not at all.
being
And
from
that's
96,
a real strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As old as this film is now, that's kind of an amazing thing. Even today, like when you see, I don't know, certain ones that come to mind are like How to Get Away from Murder, or I can't even think of it. Some of them just feel so forced. And yeah, you're right. Those conversations are there that are just kind of like, I mean,
I think the problem is sometimes I think the problem is though, like you write about what you know, and you write about situations that you're aware of, or you at least find characters that you have experience with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the time, sometimes the big Hollywood machine, it just hires whoever had a hit. So you could have written Armageddon about fucking comets, made no sense scientifically whatsoever, and then they'll go, "Oh yeah, can you just do a film, please, about you know, a gay couple that want to adopt?" They have no experience about that. They don't know anybody that's been through that situation, and yet they still get commissioned to write that, and then it gets changed to tick boxes by people that don't understand and have never been in the situation, and then they release it, and then do you know what I mean? So I think maybe this benefits from the fact that it hasn't happened that way.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. So moving on from that, I'm going to go back to Susie Bright only because she did. So what happened with her? The reason why she's even involved with this film is that the Wachowskis knew of her because she was known as a feminist writer and a sex educator. And they really just wanted to be endorsed by her in terms of like their script. They wanted to see what she thought about it. Well, she wrote him back apparently and told him that the sex scenes are like, there's hardly anything there. There's no details or anything. And she thought that was like odd. So she offered to help them with that. And she ended up being asked by them to be an extra in the movie. So in a bar scene where you see Corky go to the bar, she's actually the woman that Corky goes to hit on, that's sitting by herself, and then her girlfriend shows up. Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And everybody in the bar apparently is a friend of Susie Bright's.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I also found it very interesting that the original script was very light on detail as far as the intimacy scenes went, because they're so well done in the film. And I can only assume to attribute that to Susie Bright's contributions. I guess apparently she was like a sex consultant for those scenes. And I'm assuming probably helped choreograph and design them, because that's what she's labeled as, a sex scene choreographer or whatnot. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Let's see. Did you notice the music at all in this film?
Yes.
Because I personally like really liked the music. And I looked it up and I couldn't find any kind of a release of the score. other than some promotional CD that came out. And I thought that was like a huge disservice because I really enjoyed the music. It's something that like, it wasn't just background music.
No.
As you could find in some like neo-noirs. But I really thought it should have been celebrated. Like it, this is a really good score. And I don't know the composer at all, Don Davis. But he's done a lot of stuff after looking him up. Like I don't really recognize any of the films that he's done as like being amazing scores per se. But he's done a lot of stuff from Police Academy to Toy Story. But
wow.
Yeah, like all kinds of stuff like he's worked on. But
it was a little bit like every single part of it was its own character.
Well,
and that would include the music. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. And I just thought it was just really well done. As far as the score goes. And I wish that there was a release of it out there. I'm sure somebody's got to have like some sort of, bootleg or something. I'm sure it can be found. And they did also, they tried to
hashtag. Like release the Snyder Cut. We'll be like, release the soundtrack. Release the soundtrack.
Release the Davis score. They tried to get songs from Frank Sinatra in the film. Like they had this whole list of tracks that they wanted to use, but they couldn't afford it because back in the 90s, music was really expensive for films. And I'm kind of glad that I really am glad that they didn't, because as it is, I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 songs, like needle drop songs in the movie. And then the rest is Davis's score, which I really enjoyed. So I think if they had all these Sinatra songs, I think it would have overpowered that. And I don't think we would have got as much of the score in the film as there is, because I really think it adds to the character of the movie. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to bring up score because I thought it was pretty great. So my last thing before we get into rating this, Carly, is I came up with my worst line of the film and best line of the movie. All right. And I know this is something that you've kind of done in the past and we've sort of let drop a little bit, but I couldn't help with this movie because it stood out so much. So I do have a worst line. I've got a best line. So I don't know if you've got something like that in your mind.
No, I don't, but we should do this every time from now on.
I agree.
have to sit this one out, but moving forward.
All right. So moving forward, we'll definitely do that. Whose line is it anyway segment?
I love that.
I know, right? All right. So my worst line I'm going to start with because it's so bad. And it almost takes you out of the movie if it doesn't take you out of the movie. Like it's said by Christopher Maloney. That's how you pronounce his name? Maloney? Law and Order, dude?
He's fab, innit?
I don't know. He's okay. I like him in some things. Other things, he's just, I don't know. He's okay.
Listen, he was fabulous in Superman when he was telling him, I'm going to kick your ass. And then he put a plane in the face.
I don't know.
Brilliant.
He's in Superman? Like, like one of the newer Supermans?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen any of them. I'm a Christopher Reeves fan. So, I mean,
yeah,
I wasn't interested in any of those new Supermans. I did watch the Batman versus Superman, which that's a Snyder movie, right?
Oh God, that was not a good one. No.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No.
So, anyways, I always, I don't know, Christopher Maloney, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's hit or miss for me. If he's not playing the tough guy, he can just come off kind of silly to me. But, and here he was kind of 50-50, right? So he's a little comical in a way, even from the way he dresses, like the super loud, like red suits. And I don't know, it's just kind of cheesy to me.
It's what all 90s mobsters look like.
I don't know about that, but all right.
Remember Leon?
Yeah, I do. But they weren't bright colors, were they? I don't remember them being bright
That's because it was France and they don't do bright colors.
Well, I lived here in the 90s and I don't remember anybody doing bright colors in that other than like,
Oh, shut up. You had like blonde hair. Are you telling me that yellow isn't a bright colour? And you weren't even a gangster.
I can't believe you remember that.
Just
yeah,
saying.
That's true. That's right. Yeah. Before Eminem came out, damn it. Can't tell
we'll
anybody
sue him
that,
one
though.
day.
No, I know.
We'll sue him one day, Jason.
No, as soon as Eminem comes out, everybody's like, "Oh, you're copying him," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I had that same problem with I would wear those like I don't know what you call them, like bowling shirts, with the stripes, like Charlie Sheen wears in 3.5 Men or whatever it's called, 2.5 Men.
Oh, okay.
Right?
We don't really have them, but yeah.
Okay. So I started wearing those like way before the show even existed. And I never watched that show. I've never seen an episode of it. But there was a movie with Jon Favreau and what's his friend that's in Swingers, right? Yeah. So and they dress like that. I really fucking dug that movie, right?
Recognize it from a shirt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I started wearing those kind of shirts. I really love that movie. So I'm still a poser, but whatever. It wasn't Charlie Sheen though. And I remember I was wearing it the very first time that I met Lance. Actually, was I had put money into this movie and got to be on set. And I wore one of my, I don't know what to call them, a bowling shirt. That's what other people call them. I was wearing one and Tim Thomerson was there, who I love. Tim Thomerson. I think he's awesome. But he's like, "Hey man, so that shirt, are you like a fan of 2.5 Men?" And I'm like, no. And I never watched the show and I didn't know that he wore those shirts or anything like that. And he's just like, I could see it in his face, like you're full of shit. Right. And I'm like,
well, you think you're a Charlie Sheen fan? You've done it,
right?
Now.
I know. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like talking to one of my heroes here, and like I don't know what to say because I'm just like, no, I don't know. Does he wear these or something? And it's like, and you could just tell, like, I guess everybody knows, everybody watches that show or whatever. And I felt so fucking awkward. Anyway, how the hell did we get on this?
I don't know.
Oh, Christopher Maloney and his crazy suit choices.
Yeah, maybe back to your worst line.
Okay, my worst line. Yeah, this is a terrible story that went on too long. My worst line in the movie, Christopher Maloney, when he gets shot and he's like, "Don't shoot."
Oh, yes, that is a little bit cringy, for being honest.
That was so fucking bad.
Because he kind of pauses as well, so he's like mid-air. Yeah. And before he falls on the floor, he actually speaks, even though he's like been shot in the heart or whatever. Speaks and then goes, "Ugh," and then just hits the floor like a sack of shit.
Yeah. So bad. All right. That's out of the way.
What you'd say. You'd be like shouting, "Fuck off," or something. You wouldn't be like, "Oh, don't shoot."
I know. Yeah. It was
just like, "Screw you."
It was like a laugh out loud, comical in like the worst way. Like it shouldn't have been funny. Like maybe it was meant to be funny, obviously, but it was just like too I don't know, too over the top for me. But okay, so my best line in the movie, I actually got two of them because I couldn't decide which one I liked the best. And so I got two. There's a line where Jennifer Tilly tells Caesar that the cops are coming or something like that. And Caesar's like, "They're just cops. Stall them as long as you can." I'm like, I just thought that was hilarious that they're so nonchalant about it. Like, "Oh, they're just cops." That was so funny.
They are just so blasé, like.
Yeah. And then she comes back a few moments later when the cops show up or whatever. And she like kind of echoes that to him. She's like, "What? They're just cops." Like, what's the big deal? Right. And then my second,
wasn't a big deal.
Right. And then my second one was Caesar is like freaking out because of the whole like affair that they're having and stuff. And he's got Corky tied up on the ground, and he goes to Violet and is like, what did she do to you? And she says, everything you couldn't. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Knife right in the heart. That's the twist.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, sure reminds me so much of Shawnee. Like, she's such a strong woman, but it's like, if you get in her way, if you piss her off, like, you better watch out. She can be vicious with the words.
So I can't recall what she says when, spoiler alert, when she shoots him in the face. So he says something, they're arguing about it, and he says something like, oh, you won't shoot me, or you can't shoot me, or something like that. And she just looks right at him, and she says something to him and just fires the shot. Boom, fuck off.
Oh, man. I can't remember.
I really like that. No, I can't remember what she says.
Interesting. I can look it up.
I can just remember, I can see it right now in my mind. If she just says something dead sort of like blasé, like, nah, bang.
And that's like right before he falls into the paint, right?
Yes, and then he does his little paint thing, where it's like the fucking Terminator, where he's coming out the bloody nitrogen thing. He's doing all that, but it was just fantastic. Just that moment where she just said, I wish I knew what she said.
She says,
just that moment where she looks at him.
She says, Caesar, you don't know shit.
There we go. Bang. And then he's in the fucking paint.
Yep. And that's a great, like, I had this when I was younger, I had this fascination with like red on white. And again, maybe it comes from this movie, because there was a couple different things. There was this movie with the paint and the blood. There was a song by Stabbing Westward that came out called Red on White. And then there was this film, Brain Scan, with Edward Furlong from Terminator 2, which had these scenes where he murders somebody in their bed, and they got white sheets and there's like blood everywhere. It's like crazy. And so for whatever reason, I like in my teen years, like I always loved the colors of red on white. And I think it has something to do about all three of those things happening around the same time.
It's like a serial killer's palette.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean,
red and white.
Right.
All right then, mate.
Exactly. I know it makes me sound like a psychopath, but I think that adds to like your sort of creative sensibilities too. Like you latch on to certain things that like really stick out to you. And those things like really did stick out to me. Like, I mean, come on, like they really set up the white paint fairly early on. Right. And then knowing, that everybody's pointing guns or whatever in that room with the paint spilled everywhere. It's like, this is going to happen. I thought it was pretty iconic. There was a little editing sort of thing that bugs the crap out of me in that scene though. When she's shooting him up, you see like the squib blows air into the paint. There's no blood, just air pops into the paint from his back.
They had a low budget, love.
I know. I would have just cut it out.
We forgot about a bloody bullet wound in our film, so we cannot criticize.
What was that?
That was Dark Winter, where it was on the left-hand side and it was on the right-hand side, and we had to come up with a whole contraption of what happened.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we can't really complain about squibs, if we're being honest.
That's true. I think it was supposed to be an arrow shot, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you get when you shoot something over 2 years,
Jesus.
right?
Trying to come up with how the hell that could happen. I don't know how.
I don't think people were terribly concerned about continuity in that film. I think we left them so confused that they're just mad.
It's a time warp. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, but whatever. So yeah, all right. Well, Carly, I think we're at that time to go ahead and rate this movie.
Okey-doke. Who's going first?
I think, I'll go first because last time you went first and I didn't even go second.
Yeah.
So, and that's your fault. I'm going to blame you. So that's just how it is.
I mean, fine. Okay. Just add it to the list.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So as I said previously, I do think that this film has 100% the noir elements that you'd want in a film. If you're going to do a neo-noir, this really encompasses everything from a straight noir film. We're not talking about trying to mix genres and doing like sci-fi noir or anything like that. We're just talking just a straightforward noir film. This carries everything from the lighting, the acting, the characters, just everything about it like screams noir to me. And I just, in that respect, I just think it's just a fantastic movie. I think I like it better this watch than I've ever, liked it before. It's just really, really well done. I think that for not knowing, not being there, I, as you said, Carly, I do think that this is a very meticulously planned film. Even with their small budget and having changed cinematographers right before shooting. I think that they did a masterful job of planning the lighting and shots for this film. It's extremely cohesive. It has some very interesting camera work for such a, closed off, sort of script that takes place basically in just an apartment room. They just keep it so interesting, with the camera work. And a lot of that also, I think, is just attributed to the actors, and their just ability to carry a film as leading actors, Joe Pantalone and, Jennifer Tilly and, what's her name? Jessica Gershon. I think that's her name. I'm probably butchering that. My bad. But, Gina Gershon, right? Anyway, I thought they just pulled off their characters just brilliantly. And I'm going to give the movie a 9 out of 10, solely because of that line from Christopher Maloney, the "don't shoot." I thought that was the one flaw. It didn't hit comedically in the right way to me, and it damn near took me out of the movie because it's such a high tension scene and such a like, holy fuck, he's like screwing himself right here. And then to pull that, like, I just thought it was misplaced. And that is the only thing that robbed this movie from a gin bottle for me. Is that "don't shoot me" line. I think it was that bad. But everything else in this film, I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like, I couldn't really find anything that I disliked about this movie or thought was done poorly other than that one little line. And that was it. That's really all I got to say. I just think it's just I think it's a really brilliant film. I far think it exceeds anything they've done in The Matrix or anything since. I think this is, I mean, I could say unfortunate for them that they haven't progressed in my eyes as filmmakers. But then again, it's like a filmmaker that is able to make a directorial debut this strong is pretty damn amazing. So, I mean, props to them. They don't have to do better, right? All right, there you go. Your turn.
Okay. I'm also going to give it a 9 out of 10. Right.
Very cool.
But that is because purely based off the length. I felt like it was a little bit too long.
Interesting.
So I really liked, I felt like, so when she starts taking the bits out of her ears, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, to be a criminal that can lockpick and you've got it in your ears as earrings. That is amazing. I'm so getting myself some of them. I'm going to go get my ears all pierced and have lockpicking shit in my ears because that's amazing. That's
that world building I was talking about. They find those little things that are just like,
it's ridiculous. I've never in my life seen anything like that, and I was like, that is bloody genius. I could actually become a burglar off this. And I felt like I was really like, okay, here we are, we're going for it. And then it slowed down a little. And there was another portion where they were explaining the plan and what was going to happen. And I thought, right, we're in it. They're going for it. And then it slowed down a little. And then towards the end, but it wasn't. Right, oh my God, he's rumbled them. He knows what's going on. We're going to get into it. And then it slowed down a little bit.
All right, folks. Well, there you have it. Carly gives it 9 gens out of 10, and I give it 9 gens out of 10 for entirely 2 different reasons. But I think, and I'm sure Carly does too, that you guys should check this film out at home if you haven't already. And if you have, revisit it. I do think that this is a great noir film, neo-noir film, that's well worth watching and a rewatch. And I hope that you guys get a chance to try out the Taste the Rainbow drink and enjoy it when you watch Bound. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, The Dark Side of Acting Up and The Dark Side of Acting Up Volume 2, now available on Amazon. Or you can check out one of our films, also available on Amazon Prime. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Speakeasy Noircast.